Before we begin, thank you very much to... Brace yourself for this one. Why TJ hate Waspinator? Everyone else gets a shout out. Even Tankbot get one. Wasp want one, but Wasp never get what Wasp wants. For joining the Patreon campaign. Weirdest shout out I've ever had. I have to open the email. The name is so long it won't fit in the preview of the subject in my inbox. You've won some award. I don't know what award you've won, but you've won it. But thank you very much for the support. Thank you for yet another really weird thing to make me say for $1. I am just your dancing monkey. Pay me $1. I'll say the thing. As long as it doesn't get me in trouble with YouTube. Alright. It's a big week. It's a big day. We have a brand new Transformers movie that's out this week. And specifically, depending on when you watch this, it's either out tomorrow or it's out now. Or you're in Australia where apparently they delayed it 2 weeks. I don't know. Either way, it's a big deal. It's a big launch, of course. First time Transformers has been back in the movie theater since Bumblebee. Been a minute. Been a hot minute since we really got to talk a live-action Transformers movie. So we're going to review it, and we're going to review it 2 ways. Welcome to the spoiler-free version of my review of Rise of the Beast. You can watch this one in all full confidence that you're not going to have the plot or any major events spoiled for you. We will hold those over until tomorrow, where we will do a full spoiler-filled review, and that way we'll try to make everybody happy, because that's such an easy thing to do on the internet. But for the most part, we're trying to be considerate to those who can't see it on the first weekend. But we're also trying to strike while the iron's hot, so hey. So, first off, let me tell you my movie experience. So I went to see the advanced fan showing, right? So, like, I went to... This is not too bad. It's like a half hour out. Went to the big Regal Cinema. And the only ticket they had available, the only one the way I could really watch this was in 4D. And I didn't exactly know. I'd never been to a 4D movie. All I know is it's a 3D movie, but they've added effects to it. So if you've never been to 4D, well, the big things are, like, there are environmental effects. When things happen in the movie that, like, there's things that happen in the movie that, like blasts of air will hit you around your ankles to make it seem like things are happening around you. Big ones are like water sprays, like if things splash into the screen, your face will get misted. If it rains, it will actually rain in the theater. And that's kind of environmental and cool, and it's all timed up with the movie. And then it's the seats shaking, and I thought, like, I knew the seats would, like, rumble. But this was like rumbling to the point of, like, I'm really glad I got a bottle of water and I keep recapping it, because that was rough. I kept sliding out of my seat. I mean, I'm wearing, like, jean shorts, so they should have some friction to them. And instead, like, every time we get through an action movie, I'm like back here, and I have to pull myself back up. And I just think about, like, my mom with a bad shoulder and a friend of mine with a bad back. And it's like, they couldn't come to this movie with me. They would need an operation afterwards. So maybe that's a little too rough. The seat shaking was a little too rough. So I'm thinking of re-watching the movie. I'm thinking of going again in just a normal theater, where I'm not, like, desperately trying to hang on and, like, trying not to fall out of my seat all the time. Hopefully. Because I'm actually wondering, like, if it would improve the experience. Because, like, I was genuinely, like, distracted for a good portion of the fight scenes. And that's not a good thing in a live-action Transformers movie where the fight scenes are generally hard to follow in the first place. We don't have good news on that front, but we'll get to that. For now, let me just do, like, a quick overall thoughts on the movie. I have to tell you what my experience was, just so you know what I was going through. So, just in case it colors things a little bit. But overall, I would actually say I liked the movie quite a bit. I was definitely entertained, and I can definitely see where the movie did take some lessons from Bumblebee. My concerns going into the movie was that we were going to have something similar to the Bay movies, where it's a big overblown budget, a lot of stuff is going on, and this might just be way too filled with too many things going on at once to really get any full enjoyment out of it. But thankfully, no, like, I think they handled it pretty well, considering there's a lot of new elements in this movie. I mean, it does help that the Terracons are just tacked on. Like, they're just the villains of the movie. They're just replacing Decepticons, basically. And it's not a terrible thing to kind of, like, do without Decepticons for a while. Though I don't really feel like the Terracons did enough in this movie to really separate themselves from Decepticons. You know, if that makes any sense. It just kind of felt like, you know, movie bad guys for Transformers. Though I will say they are depicted to be far more intimidating than your standard Transformer villain fare. Not up there with Shatter, but, like, they definitely have a presence to them. So my expectations were already, like, kind of low. I was kind of worried that this was just going to be a little bit too much, a little bit back to, like, the blockbuster vibes. But I think they took enough DNA from Bumblebee to really feel like it was much more of an actual movie. And overall, yeah, I enjoyed it myself. Somewhere in my head, there is that ranking of Transformer live-action movies where obviously Bumblebee is at the top. And I think it's the 07 movie that's that's behind it. Kind of far behind it, but behind it. And then down at the bottom is, like, The Last Knight and Revenge of the Fallen. The two I hated the most. So for me, somewhere in that scale, right now, I might have to rewatch it. It might just be because it was the new exciting thing. But I'm putting it, like, the number 2 rank. I'm putting it below Bumblebee, but above the 07 movie. I felt like it was better written, better contained. You know, it didn't rely on, like, well, we'll get into it a little bit. It didn't rely on as much sophomoric humor. Like, the humor bits they added to the movie are genuinely, like, earned and genuinely funny. It's not Michael Bay's pee and scrotum jokes or Deep Wang. There's nothing like that in the movie. There's one little thing like that. One little thing like that in the movie, but it's in character and it's done in a funny way. So I will give it that. But just kind of talk about the cast a little bit. So Noah is not Sam. Let's put it that way. Noah definitely feels a little closer to Charlie than Sam as far as, like, the human characters in a Transformers movie. He's got a genuine motivation. He actually has, like, a growth experience during the movie. And it's good to see, like, he has the right origins to be kind of the action hero that's just trying to do the right thing. So it plays off well. It plays off well. I think the actor did a good job. I don't think I really have any complaints about Noah outside of a little bit of Deus Ex weird stuff at the end, but that's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal in the context of the movie. We'll get to that in the spoilers. But for now, like, I think Noah's a pretty decent human protagonist. The secondary is Elena, and I really wish she had gotten to do a little bit more. Her story arc is basically about accomplishment, but she doesn't have much of a growth to her outside of just learning to be more brave. And she's mostly there as a foil to Noah in order to keep him on level and to kind of add some different perspective for him. So there's things like that in the movie. I wish she was as fleshed out. But she's not a bad character. Like, there's points in this movie where I was more invested in her story than Noah's. Which is kind of early on, but, like, overall I do like her, even though she kind of falls into that in that trope of, like, she's female, so she's the smart one kind of thing. She's not bad, though. She's not bad. I mean, she's, like, it's not a Michael Bay female character where he just picked the hottest girl so he could take close-up, slow-motion video of her. There's nothing creepy to her. She's just a really good. She's just like an okay female character, right? We could talk, like, this really. Here's the thing. Outside of a character attached to Noah, there's really no other human presence in the movie. And that actually is to the benefit of the movie. Like, the connection between the two feels a lot tighter. And they actually, you know, they play off of each other really, really well. And you're not seeing this, like, there's no third wheel in the situation. There is no, like pointless joke human character that's just there to either get riffed on by the Autobots or humorously killed off. No, there's no obnoxious human in this movie. So again, we're getting away from the tropes of the Bay movies, which is great. But it's really, like, what surprised me is just how much time we got with the robot cast. In general, the robot cast in this movie does get a lot more screen time than they normally get in these movies. They get more time spent in robot mode, and actually talking to each other, talking to the human cast. You know, we get to see them in, like, scenes where they're just kind of in the background, waiting for the humans to pull something off. You know, we get a lot more, like, little, like, dialogue scenes between them and the human. Like, we get more. We get more of them instead of just them just being stuck in silent vehicle mode until a fight scene starts. And that was the other great thing. The characters speak in vehicle mode. 5 Michael Bay movies, and only one character actually did that, and it was Hot Rod in the 5th movie, and he only talked to the human driving him. Here, they talk to the humans driving them. They talk to each other through their radios. That's the big thing in the Transformers movies, is they have to feature the vehicles because, one, it keeps the characters on screen without, you know, ramping up the CGI budget, but it also allows them to feature the cars, and oftentimes they're paid to put these cars in the movies. You know, Porsche, they reconstructed a supercar from the 90s for this movie, specifically so they could advertise themselves in a major summer blockbuster. You know, GM, for the first, you know, for all the Michael Bay movies, famously gave Transformers the vehicles, you know, or essentially they were paid to put them in there. So there's a lot, that they have to put those vehicles in. But in 5 Michael Bay movies, they never figured out to just let the characters and the robots talk to each other in vehicle mode so I can still tell their characters. It's such a blatantly obvious thing. They finally do it in this movie. I'm so happy about that. It's such a small thing, but it makes me happy. All right, let's be specific now. Let's be specific. So, you're worried about Mirage, right? You're worried about that Mirage is just gonna be one of those, like, really irritating, grating kind of characters. I will tell you, no, he is not. In fact, I might, and this might be like fresh bias in me, but I might just say that Mirage is my favorite robot in the live-action movies. He actually has character to him. He actually shows some, like, character growth. He actually has a genuine relationship and friendship with Noah that I absolutely believe. He has some of the funniest jokes in the movie. You know, it's like genuine, like, humor bits that are, like, whole audience was laughing type spots, you know, and it's not cheap. I mean, some of it's cheap sophomore humor, but for the most part, it's not like it's not like pea and ball jokes. Michael Bay at his worst kind of humor. So it's good. Like, Mirage is a really solid character. I believe him as a character, and no, he doesn't get irritating. I thought he would just be, because the movie has the movie has a very strong hip-hop flavor to a lot of the characters, because 90s, and Mirage kind of takes some of that, but he's not over the top like some of the past characterizations have been. You know, that he's fine. He's like a completely like, as a character, I completely believe who he is as a person, and that's kind of what you want, you know. And it's been, I don't know how many Transformers in the live action movies I can genuinely say that about. And speaking of, like, Optimus Prime gets to tell an actual story in this movie. He's not just like the stoic commander type that gets to have a speech, to start the third act and just basically just shows up for the action scenes. No, 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 no. He actually has a character arc. He actually has a story to tell. And it's a nice little story for Prime to tell. In general, it felt like Peter Cullen was re-energized in this role. He felt more like the Optimus Prime I come to know. I mean, there's still some some live action Optimus elements to him, but it's not nearly as prevalent. And yeah, he genuinely feels more like him, and you can hear it in Peter's performance. He even gets to make a joke. Optimus Prime actually cracks a joke in this movie, or at least it comes off as a joke. Let's say that. So yeah, I'm really happy with how characters are used. Some of the others are okay. RC is pretty decent. Like, I gave her more speaking roles than I expected. She comes across more like a secondary in command type. There's a few that are there's a few characters underused because it is a bloated cast, so they can only focus on so many. Obviously, Mirage and Optimus got the bulk of the screen time. And then the Maximal cast is kind of the same. AirRaiser and Optimus Primal, they get their time. They get decent time, and we get to know them pretty well as characters. But I ultimately feel the Maximals are a little underutilized. We don't get to see them in robot mode as often as I would like, and they do kind of some of them do kind of exist just for the fight scene shots. So that's a little bit disappointing. But when the movie's like going the way it's going, it's not terribly surprising, and I feel like it was a testing the waters thing, like keeping them not as a major, there's still a major element. Don't get me wrong, there's still a major element, but it felt more like they were being cautious with how much they were included, just in case, because like with the original Beast Wars, not knowing if it would work or not. Hopefully it does, because I would love to see more of them, either in their own movie or in whatever sequels we're going to get to this. I would say kind of the same about the Terracons. First off, Peter Dinklage as Scourge is really good. I did not expect the kind of voice they gave him. And there is a lot of digital layers to the voice of Scourge, but you can still tell there's an actor behind it actually performing. Hey, Hollywood and your AIs, which were not AIs, they are plagiarism machines. No, this is vocal performance. This is why it's important. You can't get nuance out of a machine. But this works. And I was really surprised. I couldn't hear Peter Dinklage. Is the thing. It's I couldn't imagine him talking like this, but it was. When I stop and think about it, yeah, it was. So that was cool. It was really cool. It was a really good performance by him. Really surprisingly good performance. I like Scourge as a villain. I do kind of wish the Terracons got more screen time. Especially Battletrap, because I don't even think he gets named in the movie, but there's elements to Battletrap I really, really liked, and I really could use more of him. But they're always around. They're always present enough to make you feel like they're there and they're scheming and they've got their own things going on. So they're present enough to feel like villains. And it's similar to how Bumblebee worked in its Decepticon cast. We see them in the background plotting their schemes and doing the villain thing often enough that I genuinely feel like there's always a threat to them. And that's the good thing. That's what you want. I'll also say that thanks to a lot of the distinction in this movie, a lot of the distinct color palettes, it's easy to follow the battle scenes. There's a lot less of the Michael Bay shaky cam or pointless zoom-ins or anything like that. There's still some of that kinetic, flippy, action scenes, but not so much that it's distracting. At this point, it's just kind of a combat style in Transformers. And there's probably no getting rid of it. But there wasn't so much of it, and none of it was so ridiculous that it took me out of the fight scenes. That was an improvement. And because everyone has these really distinct color palettes, it's easy to tell what's going on. And because it's less shaky, and the fight scene in the end, the backgrounds are kind of desaturated, so everything, all the more prominent bright characters pop a lot better. So I mean, it helps a lot. It's easy to tell what's going on and who is who during the final fight scene. Easier than normal. I think it could still use improvement, but I will take it. I will take it, because I could tell what was going on in the fight scene. So, overall, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Again, I might have liked it better if the seat wasn't trying to turn my vertebrae into dust, but I liked it for what it was. Like, I mean, it's not high cinema. I mean, it's still going to be a familiar 3-act story. There's still a MacGuffin. It does kind of follow like a traditional Transformers movie. So if you go in expecting that, don't expect like a massive paradigm shift in how Transformers movies work, but basically expect what you were hoping the live-action movies would be after the 07 movie. That's how I would paint this. Which, by the way, it's absolutely a sequel to Bumblebee. There is literally no connection to the 07 movies. I don't care what Bonaventura says. Take it as it is. It's a sequel to Bumblebee. So, there you go. That is a spoiler-free review of Transformers Rise of the Beasts. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I mean, I didn't go out hating it, and I'm not here just to rant about all the mistakes I found. There's only one mistake in it, and it doesn't even have anything to do with that bugs me. There's one mistake in it that bugs me, and it doesn't even have anything to do with Transformers. But, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned, because tomorrow, I'm going to be doing this again, and we're going to be doing it spoiler-riddled. So if you really want to find out what happened in the movie, or if you watched the movie and you really want to know what I thought of this and that, tune in tomorrow. Until then, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
We're gonna have to get your names for the books. You, Pale One.
William Current.
Roll me a deception check.
I thought their name was Pain.
Roll a disadvantage.
Okay.
That was like the opposite of the help action there. You, Goblin.
First name D's.
Watch your tongue.